About that budget deal, let's talk to Byron York. He's the chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and knows where all the bodies are buried on the Hill. Hey, Byron, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So yesterday, it was Susan Collins and John McCain were the two proclaimed Republicans who would vote for cloture on this budget deal that came that passed the House so quickly. What changed between yesterday and today? Now they're saying it's a done deal.
Right, there are a few more. Well, Orrin Hatch came out for it. Jeff Flake, Arizona, came out. Really important when Ron Johnson of Wisconsin came out, also Saxby Chambliss. So it looks like they're going to get to that 60 number.
Yeah, I've got Collins and Isaacson as well.
Well, Ron Johnson is a kind of a Tea Party guy. He came in with that 2010 class, did he not?
He did. The interesting thing is I do think a number of lawmakers, and I'm not going to read Ron Johnson's mind, but I think a lot of lawmakers want to get this whole possibility of a government shutdown behind them. They got stuff they want to do, and they just do not want to be in that fight again. Nobody has good memories of what happened in October.
What's the timeline here? They're going to take it up today in the Senate. How long until they have cloture, and when will the final vote be so they can send it to the president?
Well, it should happen before Christmas. The Republicans are kind of angry at Harry Reid because he's been setting lots of dates to take them and to keep them in session almost all the way up till Christmas. So they could be here all the way to Christmas Eve, and they're definitely going to get this done by then.
All right, on the other front, the Obamacare front, the Affordable Care Act and healthcare.gov, still having a lot of problems, a lot of back and forth. Yesterday at the White House, I noticed that Jay Carney was asked, well, look, if people get signed up by the 23rd of December, what guarantee do you have that they'll actually have their insurance by January 1st? In other words, might some people face a health care gap? And you know what? The White House didn't seem to have any answers for that.
Jay Carney's answer was, beats me. I don't know.
I don't know. I got no clue.
It's just coming, fast and furious every day. I mean, we have an interesting new Washington Post poll this morning, and they asked, do you currently have health insurance, some form of health insurance? And the number, 82%, is 5 points lower than it was when they passed Obamacare.
Wow.
It was 87%.
That's unbelievable.
In January of 2010. But, one thing I write about today that I think is a real coming problem for Republicans. I mean, from a Republican point of view, President Obama and Democrats took a health care system in which 85% of the people had insurance coverage. They blew it up. And now they are telling Republicans, you can't go back. You can't go back. You have to help us fix this.
Right.
And talking to some Republicans on the Hill, a number of them actually do feel kind of trapped by this because they think if more and more bad things happen, if, for example, January 1st comes very soon, and more people are uninsured than there were before, the Republicans feel some need to try to help them and to try perhaps even to work with Democrats to fix Obamacare. So Republicans almost feel trapped by the problems created by this health care system that they, of course, unanimously oppose.
Well, this is a very important point because, we're going to talk to Mike Needham of Heritage Action and Matt Kibbe over at Freedom Works and frankly, Brian Wilson to my side. They've all been sort of, they're all, not Brian Wilson, I don't mean to include you in this. No. They're all saying, we need to fight this budget deal right now because going back to Obamacare isn't the electoral plethora that everyone seems to be saying. So many Republicans are saying, let's just get this budget deal done so we can just focus on Obamacare because we're going to win 11 months from now on that. But if they just talk about repealing Obamacare and just step back and say, oh, what a mess, is that really a recipe for victory? If they're seen for 11 months as not actually doing something?
I think they're completely misreading what happened in October, in which what happened in October was not a referendum on Obamacare. It was a referendum on the strategy of shutting down the government. And, as we've said before, the reason Republicans couldn't get traction with their criticisms of Obamacare before the rollout was that they were talking about something that hadn't come yet. It was in prospect.
Okay, but now that you've got Obamacare and you've got traction on that, you make the point, and I think it's a smart one, that if they're seen as just complaining and not actually doing something to fix Obamacare, they could be in trouble as well 11 months from now.
And that's the whole issue of Republicans uniting behind an alternative to Obamacare. Not a big, intrusive bureaucratic system. They're not going to do their own version of Obamacare, but they are going to do something. They need to do something that is an alternative. And what's interesting is, we've had all of these Republican plans all the way since the Obamacare debate, but the party has never united united behind a plan and said, here, this is what we do. We repeal Obamacare and we replace it with this. And now there's a bill, H.R. 3121 in the House, done by the Republican Study Committee. It's gotten 117 Republican co-sponsors. That's a bare majority of the majority. But the House leadership has really not signed on to this yet, and it's not clear what they want to do. If you listen to Paul Ryan on Meet the Press on Sunday, he said Republicans didn't want to have a shutdown drama, quote, so that we can focus on replacing Obamacare. But I talked to Ryan's office yesterday and said, well, is he for this bill? Is he for that bill? And all they would say was, well, he encourages all sorts of conservative solutions to this. They still haven't united behind a single proposal.
Byron York, can you thumbnail this proposal for us? I'm assuming it's going to have buying insurance across state lines. It'll have,
It's exactly what you think it is. It's risk pools for people with pre-existing conditions, buying insurance across state lines, reducing the tax inequity between people who buy health care insurance on their own and those who get it at work, and medical malpractice. So Democrats will say, hey, this is the same old, same old. It's going to leave millions of Americans uncovered. But the fact is, the arrival of Obamacare has actually changed the argument. When you have millions of people losing their coverage, Republicans have a new opportunity to say, here, this is what we would do. Yeah, it wouldn't cover as many people as that plan, but millions wouldn't be losing their coverage at the same time. There's an opportunity for Republicans, and so far, they haven't taken it.
All right, Byron, listen, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy.